One of the things I think is worth noting is in your group of advisors, you have 14 advisors on your website. 11 of the 14 are doctors. And a lot of what you focus on is not just these concepts and the research that you've done to prove them, put them into action, hone them, whatever, is they are backed by this idea of science.
Flow is technically defined as an optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and we perform our best. And the reason we do all this work is the psychology of flow, which was very well established over the course of the 20th century. By the end of the 20th century, they were starting to train people using the psychology. And the problem with training from psychology is very, very individual. Right? It's shaped by nurture, it's shaped by nature, and really fundamental things to peak performance. Like, where are you on the introversion to extroversion scale? Meaning, like, if you're super introverted, I can't teach you anything if there are other people around because you're handicapped, right? Those kinds of things. What are your risk tolerances like? And what are they like in different situations, right? People have one level of physical risk tolerance, another level of emotional risk tolerance, or sexual or intellectual, or take your pick, right? Those are very individual. Psychology is very individual, but if you go one level down, you go to the neurobiology. Neurobiology is shaped by evolution and it's constant in all humans. So if you're looking to make things reliable and repeatable, neurobiology is your tool. I got very lucky in my career. I started as a journalist and I was interested in peak performance, and I was also interested in neuroscience. It was a language I sort of spoke. And I had problems with the psychology. I always felt like when I was trying to just improve myself as a writer, as an athlete, as a whatever, I was getting so confused, and there'd be these nitpicking arguments over crazy little details. And I was like, none of this is practical. I don't know what to do with this. And when I got into the neurobiology and figured out you could train from it, it really worked. And we, at the Flow Research Collective, teamed up with folks at Stanford and USC and UCLA and et cetera, et cetera. And we studied the neurobiology of this stuff, and then we used it to train people in 130 countries. We train tens of thousands of people every month. And this is everything from like just individuals, right? Soccer moms and soccer dads and insurance brokers and, podcasters who take your pick, all the way to professional athletes, members of special forces, and then companies who work with like Facebook or Accenture or Adyen, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm trying to make is wildly diverse group of people. It's an intense training. You go through with it like a PhD psychologist as a coach. We see a 70-80% increase in flow on the back end. And the reason I'm telling you all this stuff is the reason you see so many doctors, the reason the neurobiology matters so much is we want this reliable and repeatable for anyone, anywhere. That's the benefit of all the science. And we're also really big fans at the collective of what I like to call cognitive literacy. If you're interested in peak performance, understand what's going on in your brain and your body when you're actually performing at your best. I'm just arming you with information, right? Like, it's really important to us, and you can actually, it's also fun to teach people neuroscience, because most people think neuroscience is this incredibly difficult thing that they're never going to be able to learn, and it's scary and all that stuff. And so it's very empowering to people, not only like when you start, hey, this is how your brain works, and people start getting it. Using neuroscience, this thing that they didn't think they could learn, to actually massively improve their performance on a day-to-day basis. That's a very sort of empowering to watch people go, oh my God, I can learn something like this, and I can use it, and I can, impact my day-to-day life.